time getting the ball in the end zone.
Well,
Tony is cringing right now.
And they got calls. They got all sorts of calls. They were on the goal line.
I mean, listen, it was a holding call against, on a guy who was guarding Jamar Chase. What else are you going to do? Of course you get a hold.
Whittingham, tell Ricky how upset you are at the Dolphins. I don't know if Ricky was watching the Dolphins in any way today, but they did.
Why would he?
Ricky, this team hasn't felt any good since you left it. It hasn't felt any good in 15 years.
And they're still doing the same things at quarterback that they were doing when he was running, so...
Well, that's not true. I think...
History. Had a solid NBA career, although if you ask him, and sometimes, even if you don't, he'll gladly tell you he was the best player on every team he ever played on. And that includes teams that had LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh in their primes. He retired, but never retired the thought that he's the
being truly shitty.
Shitty. At every turn. Listen, you don't win a FBI fantasy championship by being shitty. Lamar Jackson, because Jamar Chase went.
All the analysis, they're gonna hit you over the head with, you're at the bottom of that division. You just lost to a Steelers team that wasn't very good this year. You're at the bottom of that division.
I mean, it's a rhetorical trick. I know it's separated by like a couple calls.
You're gonna keep trying to say they're close, and people are like, close to what?
Really, I think even the audience would concede, and that's probably what they hold against Baker Mayfield is that you're playing on a good team, bro. They're talented. You got talent. It's a stretch for a good Browns team. So I've seen him do it, but it's year 4, and while he had a lot of injuries, he's shown you that he's not one of those special guys. He can't survive a bad team. A lot of things need to go right for him. So if you have an opportunity to upgrade a position when you are close, the Cleveland Browns owe it to this window to explore that. I love Baker Mayfield, but I love any quarterback that is starting for the Cleveland Browns. Outside of Brandon Whedon, I've been on board with supporting everybody that's wearing that uniform. If they choose to go in another direction, I'll turn on Baker Mayfield because I'm an emotional fan. But I do think that there are mitigating circumstances here that explain why this year went poorly for him. I'm bummed that he's not the quarterback that I thought he was.
Well,
and they really have no control over it. I mean, finally UConn will get some attention now, like with Kansas deals. Like, if only people will pay attention to UConn, that would change everything.
Yeah, I'm not going to even comment on that.
Later. We'll warm you up later. No, one thing Jess and I were talking about before jumping on with you was just because you now that you have like the bookend on your coaching career, you have this arc of getting involved in basketball at St. Joe's, coaching there in the early 80s, and like you've really seen the change, and maybe it's like gaslighting, right? It's hard to pinpoint like what.
They would take note of what order you would say hello to the players, where you started, how what direction you moved in. The players are paying attention to everything, and the psyche of a team is not just based on wins and losses. It's based on not just chemistry, but also the overall feeling that the team has as a team that is inclusive of the front office and ownership. And I kept wondering what the other Nets players were thinking. Are they just thankful, hey, we're glad he's back, we need him, we want to win? Or they say, man, we're doing just fine without him, the top of the Eastern Conference, somewhere in the top. We're out of we got to make it to the top of the Eastern Conference. Or are they saying, I can't imagine where are they going? They're second in the East is making it. Here is what I would propose that Joe Tsai does as owner of the Nets with Kyrie back. I would propose that he, because I want every player and every person to get vaccinated. The apology is for the distraction. And we talked about Antonio Brown this week. We talked about what it is when a great player is a distraction versus a bad player. When a bad player is a distraction, they're gone quickly. When a great player is a distraction, they get plenty of moments to be the distraction, and then to be the distraction, and then to be the distraction until finally something happens. something acute, like taking off your shoulder pads and running off the field without a shirt. That's one. Kyrie never got to that point. He's never gotten to that edge, but he's made a career out of tiptoeing on that line. But if I am the Nets ownership, I stop that now. Because the Nets...
You had a high school marching band doing the halftime show. Wasn't that long ago. Another area, too, just to switch gears for our final segment here, is I've been thinking not just in terms of chaos on the field, but also the voices. Like, one of the things that we're going to look at for this last 10 years is the rise of the revival of the athlete's voice, right? That is what these last 10 years, ever since Trayvon Martin and the Miami Heat with the hoodies and Ferguson and Hands Up, Don't Shoot and Kaepernick and the WNBA, all of it. We're going to remember this period as when the athlete came back, right, from the 1960s. COVID is exposing that. What has COVID done to the athlete's voice? When you're looking at Aaron Rodgers and the things that are coming out of his mouth, prominent players, when you look at LeBron sending out memes, and it really does feel like the player is getting distance. When you look at Kyrie, it's almost as if the player is sort of this individualist now and not necessarily as much of a citizen, because COVID is such an individual phenomenon. It really has made us think about community in a way that we probably haven't thought about. And so in comparing the last couple of years, when you think about the triumphant, heroic voice of the athlete post.
And as a kid, he was this enterprising character, which is to say, he was always had a scheme. You know, he was a child actor, and then he was doing other things, just kind of a get-rich schemes. Gary Goetzman, by the way, is now Tom Hanks' producing partner. So this guy clearly did well for his life and what he's done. So Gary Goetzman, yeah. Goetzmann. So P.T. Anderson goes, okay, I'm making a movie about my buddy Gary, who's now tight with Hanks. So it's about love and starting up love, and he's 15 in the movie and she's 25, and it's about straining for what you
One is wrestling with. And for me, and I'm guessing for Antonio, it's the same thing, where we're all trapped in this mental construct of we respond